There is a group of creatures in the world that have been discovered by only a few people, but have never been proven to exist. We generally call these creatures unidentified mysterious animals, or UMA for short, which means unconfirmed mysterious creatures. Hello everyone. Welcome to the UMA video series. This time, I want to share with you something that was a childhood nightmare for many people, and also one of the most famous unconfirmed creatures in North America, the devil monkey. The devil monkey is also known as the giant ape. It is often described as a large primate standing between 3 and 8 feet tall. Its body is covered with reddish brown or dark gray fur, and it has a bushy tail. Its face protrudes, resembling both a chimpanzee and a dog, with pointed ears. Inside its mouth are sharp teeth and 2 prominent fangs. Its forelimbs are muscular, and its hind legs are well developed. Some records describe its hind legs as strong, like those of a kangaroo, allowing it to move by jumping. When moving, it sometimes walks on all fours, and sometimes strides upright on 2 legs. This creature is extremely aggressive, and is said to attack livestock, pets, and even humans. Moreover, it emits an ear-piercing and horrifying scream. I believe that many of you first learned about the devil monkey from the 2008 American mockumentary series, Monster Quest, whose 3rd episode featured an original story centered around the devil monkey. I won't go into that here, but those who haven't seen it can look it up themselves. As for the actual recorded sightings of the devil monkey, there are many. They are spread throughout North America, especially in British Columbia, in Western Canada, and around the Appalachian Mountains in the eastern United States. Here I will try to pick out a few representative cases to share with you. Scholars today generally believe that the earliest recorded sightings of the devil monkey can be traced back to the 1,930 seconds. According to an Associated Press report, in 1934, on January 16 of that year, in an area near South Pittsburgh, Tennessee, many people reported seeing a mysterious beast that looked like a giant kangaroo. This creature was first seen by humans on the night of Saturday, January 13 of the same year. It killed several German shepherds. The following night, it killed several more pet dogs and poultry. Frightened that the beast might attack again, people in the community began carrying guns. A black pastor named Hancock described its movements as lightning fast, saying it looked exactly like a giant kangaroo. Hopping across the fields, it killed a German shepherd and left the body in its owner's yard. Another man named Frank Cobb also saw the creature, saying it was unlike anything he had ever seen. Eventually, a search team followed the creature's trail along the hillside until the tracks disappeared near a cave. The report made the front pages of major newspapers across the United States. The strange case finally ended as the search yielded no results. In 1946, the March issue of Indiana Folklore, published by the Indiana Folklore Society, contained a chapter titled Myths and Legends from Southern Illinois. It mentioned that in the summer of 1941, in the lower Drum area at the foot of Hibiscus Mountain, a missionary who was tending to things in the forest followed a stream for a long time, when suddenly a large creature leapt down from a nearby tree. The creature looked like a chimp-dog hybrid and walked upright on 2 legs. The missionary shot it with his hunting rifle, scaring it away. Soon after, local farmers reported that every night, terrifying screams echoed from deep within the forest. Several hunters also found strange footprints in the woods. At first, they thought it was a wild black panther. It wasn't until the spring of 1942, when a family's dog was killed by the beast, that people's anger truly ignited. They decided to join forces to hunt and kill the mysterious creature. Soon they discovered that the creature was not a black panther. One night, a man driving near the Big Muddy River in Jackson County saw an unidentified beast crossing the road. He described it as moving with quick leaps of about 20 to 40 feet each. Countless hunters flooded into the forest, hoping to capture this strange creature. But none succeeded. They only found scattered footprints and heard that same gut-wrenching scream. On the 9th of August, 1979, the Noonan Times-Herald ran a front-page article titled "Strange Creature Sighted Here." According to the report, several sightings of the monster occurred the previous week on Belt Road near the Washington Street intersection. Most of the witnesses were women and children, who described the creature as about 4 to 5 feet tall. It had a monkey-like face and a long tail covered with thick fur. It would sneak into barns to steal fruit and grain, and even attack people's pets. One witness said it was the ugliest thing he had ever seen, with a dog-like face. Over the following weeks, similar sightings occurred in the surrounding areas, but became less frequent since it caused no major harm. The incident gradually faded from memory as the sightings dwindled. In the 2000 issue of North American Fortean Zoology Review, cryptid author Chad Arment recorded a sighting provided by a blogger named Paulette Boyd. The incident originally took place in 1959 when her family lived in southwestern Virginia. Paulette's parents operated the concession stand at the local church to keep their drinks and ice cream cold. They had to go to the dry ice yard before 5 a.m. That night, the moon was bright, and around 3:30 to 4 a.m., they rested briefly at the church before continuing their trip. But they accidentally took a wrong turn and ended up on a secluded one-way road. As they rounded a bend, they noticed something moving on the right embankment. At first, they thought it was a deer and slowed down. Suddenly, the creature leapt from the embankment onto the road and slammed right into the car's windshield. Right after that, it turned its body and front arms, moving toward the right side of the car. Paulette's mother turned her head and saw that the creature's face was only a few inches away from the car window. She described the creature as having light caramel-colored fur with white spots on its neck and underbelly. It stood on 2 sturdy hind legs with short front arms and no visible tail. When it dropped down beside the car, Paulette's father immediately stepped on the gas and sped away. After driving for a distance, he stopped the car and pulled out the handgun he carried with him. But by then, her mother was overwhelmed by fear, screaming hysterically, "Monster! Monster!" Her father feared that if he fired, he might not kill it and would only make it angrier. So he finally gave in, got back into the car, and drove away from the place as fast as he could. Later, they discovered 3 long claw marks on the passenger side door. A few days after the incident, 2 nurses in the Solviet area were also attacked by a strange creature while driving home after work. The creature tore open the convertible top of their car, but luckily, no one was injured. Local authorities immediately organized a search team to track down the creature. However, they found nothing. At the same time, the article also mentioned a friend of James Boyd, Paulette's older brother, who also experienced a similar encounter in 1973. That night, he was driving from the town of Marion to Tazewell. As usual, he rolled down the window and rested his arm outside. While driving through a mountain road, a sudden noise came from outside, and moments later, he saw the strange creature, looking exactly as previously described. It lunged from the edge of the forest, straight toward the car, trying to grab his arm, and terrified, the driver slammed on the gas and sped away. In 1975, 2 of Paulette's neighbors, Casey and Danny, also encountered the creature while driving to Smith County. It ran across the road and vanished into the field on the other side. According to their account, the creature looked unlike any animal they had ever seen. It moved on all 4s and stood about 3 feet tall. Its body was covered in coarse grayish-brown fur, with a long snout and small pointed ears. Its hind legs were much larger than the front ones, like those of a kangaroo, with visible claws and a hairless tail. They also said that if it stood upright, its height would be at least 5.5 to 6 feet. In 1983, in the book Mystery America, compiled by cryptozoologist Loren Coleman, he documented 3 reports of devil monkey sightings that he personally investigated. But to be precise, the 3 creatures in those cases only shared some traits with the devil monkey, and there were still many differing descriptions. The media referred to those events as the infield panic or the infield monster. Regarding this unidentified creature, I will make a separate episode about it later. Next, in the second issue of the North American Fortean Zoology Review, published in 2000, Professor Chad Arment stated that after the first issue was released, he received a report from a woman living in Ohio about a strange creature sighting. The incident occurred sometime during a summer in the 1,990 seconds. The woman was driving from Nashville, Tennessee to the Outer Banks in North Carolina. Because the main road was under construction, she had to take a detour. She clearly remembered passing a place called Red Wolf Crossroads. About 20 minutes after seeing the sign, a creature suddenly leapt across the road in front of her car. Startled, she described the creature's appearance as extremely bizarre. It looked like a cat, but not like any kind of cat she had ever seen. Its body was jet black with very short fur, pointed ears, and a long, slender tail. Its body resembled that of an extremely thin person. Its hind legs were slender, yet muscular, and she estimated that if it stood upright, it would be about 6 feet tall. Interestingly, later, because her daughter wanted to know what the creature looked like, she used drawing software to recreate it, and that illustration became the cover image of that magazine issue. Judging from its appearance, the creature in the drawing seemed to resemble a feline species. Professor Chad Arment suggested that the Wampus cat from American folklore might be related to this case. For many years, residents of the southeastern Georgia swamps have claimed to see a furry cat-like creature walking upright through the woods. It looked both human-like and feline, and perhaps this is the second type of creature connected to the devil monkey. On the 29th of July, 2008, on a Canadian website dedicated to paranormal investigations, a man named Ian Harper stated that 25 years earlier, one evening while walking his dog near Lake Scugog in Ontario, he encountered a giant monkey about 3 feet tall, with long, soft arms, a large head, and making a deep growling sound. His dog was terrified, tucking its tail and hiding behind him. He was so frightened that he couldn't get on his bicycle and could only grab the dog and run for his life. According to the book Mysterious Creatures, A Guide to Cryptozoology by researcher George Eberhardt, published in 2002, on the 9th of September 2001, in the rural area of Danville, New Hampshire, there was a report of a giant black monkey sighting. Within 2 weeks, there were at least 9 separate sightings, but I was unable to find the original sources of those reports. Similarly, in the records of Professor Dale Drennan of Berkeley University, there is an entry dated the 12th of January, 2006. An anonymous witness reported seeing a devil-like creature break into his house and attack his Labrador dog. The creature had fangs, a monkey-like posture, and a shiny tail. What's astonishing is that unlike most people who encounter mysterious creatures, this witness claimed to have remained completely calm. He grabbed his camera nearby and managed to take a picture of the devil. The flash from the camera startled the creature. It leapt powerfully on its hind legs and bolted through the open door, disappearing from sight. In the photograph, the Labrador appeared unharmed. Online, debates over the authenticity of the photo and the story were sharply divided. Another suspicious photo once caused a similar stir. It first appeared in the DeQuincy News on the 25th of September, 1996. According to the report, a woman named Barbara Mullins was driving along Highway 12 Inches, Louisiana, when she noticed something strange by the roadside. She stopped the car, observed it, and took photographs. She described the creature as very large, covered in thick black fur, with a round head, a distinct neck, long limbs, and pointed ears. Mullins had actually taken an entire series of photos, but since the newspaper had no digital archive, it's now impossible to know exactly which photo was published. It is known, however, that the newspaper at the time suggested the creature might be the chupacabra, the infamous blood-sucking monster. Although the Wildlife Department later issued a statement saying it was merely an ordinary Pomeranian dog, I was also unable to find the original copy of that statement. Judging solely from the photo series, however, the creature truly resembles some kind of primate. In episode 2 of the American documentary, released in late 2013, titled Monsters and Mysterious Events of America, there was a segment devoted to the devil monkey sightings. It told the story of Marva Morgan and Wyman Morgan's family, who moved to the rural areas of Kentucky during the 1970 seconds. Ever since they arrived, a series of strange events began to occur. First, their dog was dragged away by something, and they only found its torn body. Soon after, one night, around 2 or 3 in the morning, they heard something rummaging through the garbage outside. But when Wyman went out to check, he found nothing. Then on another night, while Wyman was taking a bath, he suddenly smelled a foul stench coming in through the window. Marva hurried to check the windows in the house, and when she reached the bedroom window and pulled the curtain aside, at that very moment, a strange and terrifying creature was attacking the glass. Marva screamed in terror and rushed the children into the bathroom. When Wyman came out to see what was happening, the creature had already disappeared. Later, one of Wyman's co-workers told him that he too had seen a monkey nearby, about 3 feet tall, drinking water by the riverbank. Marva reported that she was too frightened to notice any specific details, only that it was a strange creature, unlike anything she had ever seen before. In 2020, the American Travel Channel documentary Haunted Forests, Season 2, Episode 3, featured several similar sightings. The first incident took place in 1999, when Suzanne's family had just finished building their home in Adams County in the Appalachian Mountains. Her son John, who was about 11 years old, often played in the forest with his cousin Keith, who was the same age. That day, they planned to continue building their unfinished treehouse. Keith was up in the treehouse, calculating what materials were needed, while John looked up from the ground to talk to him. Suddenly, he was distracted by a sound coming from above, and moments later, he noticed a huge black creature crouched in a nearby tree. It appeared to be about 8 to 10 feet tall. The two quickly hid behind a tree, but soon realized the creature was watching them. Having spent much time in the woods, they were familiar with wild animals like mountain lions and bears, but this one was completely different from anything they had ever seen. Terrified, they turned and ran, and immediately they heard a heavy thud, the sound of the creature jumping down from the tree. They jumped on their bikes, too afraid to look back, and rode straight home. Once they calmed down, Suzanne asked them to draw what they had seen, and the result was a picture of a giant monkey. According to John's recollection, the thing looked terrifying, with red eyes and a mouth full of sharp teeth. At first, Suzanne and her husband didn't believe the children's story. They later bought the land where the incident happened to build a barn and keep a horse. Not long after, one morning while feeding the horse, they noticed it was in extreme panic. There were deep bloody gashes on both sides of its hindquarters. The veterinarian who was called couldn't determine what kind of animal caused the wounds. Suzanne carefully collected some hair that had stuck to the fence and sent it to a local lab. The results showed that besides common species like cow and horse, there were indeed several strands of hair belonging to an unknown creature. Shortly after, their neighbor Andre also had an encounter with a large monkey-like creature that jumped onto the hood of his Jeep and shook it violently. He described it as being covered in thick, dark fur that gave off a heavy, intimidating presence. After careful thought, Suzanne's family finally reported the events to a Bigfoot researcher they met at a library. On Friday night, they brought recording equipment into the woods. The researcher began using an audio recorder to capture any unusual sounds nearby, then struck a tree branch to provoke a territorial response. Sure enough, knocking sounds echoed back from the direction of the treehouse, followed by a deep, chilling roar from within the forest. They could hear something large, approaching quickly, occasionally accompanied by metallic banging sounds. Terrified, they ran back to their car and drove away. But the story didn't end there. Sometime later, a friend of theirs came over to process the remains of several hunted deer, and some discarded parts were thrown into the woods. That same night, a sulfur-like stench woke Suzanne and her husband. Moments later, they discovered their outdoor cooking gear had been overturned. From less than 100 feet away, they heard heavy footsteps and the deep growl of a beast coming from the forest. Suzanne's husband fired his gun to scare it off. From that point on, nothing similar happened again, but they decided to move away from that eerie place. The second case in the documentary did not specify a date. It took place one summer when a man named John went on vacation at a cabin in the woods near Three Lakes, Wisconsin. One day, he and his cousin went out to play a game of mock gunfighting, chasing and hiding from each other, gradually wandering deeper into the forest. Just as they were about to stop and rest, they noticed that the entire forest around them had gone completely silent. John, being experienced, immediately realized that a large predator must be lurking nearby. Soon after, they saw a deformed creature appear not far ahead. The first clear thing John saw was something white, the creature's sharp fangs. Beneath them was a strong lower jaw, and he could sense the beast moving toward them, growling continuously. Both men turned and ran in terror, and the creature charged after them. It moved incredibly fast, nearly grabbing John's shoulder. They ran as fast as they could and only escaped its pursuit once they had cleared the forest. There are still countless other sightings and reports of the devil monkey, similar to those mentioned above, but I can't include them all in the video. Anyone who is interested can search for more on their own. Within the field of cryptozoology, there have been many speculations about the devil monkey. First of all, it's important to understand that according to fossils discovered so far, wild primates in North America went extinct about 30 million years ago. This is also the main reason why doubts about the devil monkey continue to exist. The late cryptozoologist Mark Hall suggested that it might actually be the cunning and malevolent being from Choctaw Native American mythology known as Nalusa Falaya. Nalusa Falaya was said to be a tall, slender humanoid creature with pointed ears. The Choctaw believed that these were shadow beings, banished to another realm, who would enter the dreams of humans, especially those harboring evil thoughts, and control them to commit wicked acts. Sometimes they would slither like snakes, lurking in the darkness to frighten careless hunters or children who refused to come home at dusk. Although the description of Nalusa Falaya shares some similarities with the devil monkey, such a mythological explanation is clearly unconvincing, especially since the trait of slithering like a snake is far different from the devil monkey. Number 2. Cryptozoologist George Eberhardt believed that the most likely explanation was that some monkeys had escaped from captivity, especially after the natural destruction caused by Hurricane Andrew in 1992, which allowed at least 500 monkeys to escape from laboratories, zoos, and private facilities across several regions. Some of them have still never been found and may still live in vast swamp areas. Another example comes from as early as 1972, when a troop of Japanese macaques was introduced to the town of Dilley, Texas. By the late 1982, part of the group had escaped due to decaying fences. Statistics from 1995 showed that more than 600 macaques were living in the brushlands of southern Texas, an area that also included several locations where devil monkey sightings had been reported. Another cryptozoologist, Chad Arment, stated in his research that in appearance, the creature did not resemble a true New World primate, and that there was no exact match among known species. These primates are not bipedal, nor are they known for leaping. Regarding Old World primates, he suggested that the species most closely resembling it might be the Indian gray langur, belonging to the genus Semnopithecus of the Old World monkey family. Adult individuals of this species have relatively light fur, with darker backs and limbs, and black hands, feet, and faces. Their body length can reach about 2.5 feet, and their tails up to nearly 4 feet long. According to American anthropologist John Friel, this species is one of the most adaptable primates found in Sri Lanka, the deserts of Qatar, and even the Himalayas. They move on all fours and occasionally jump to get around. Cryptozoologist Loren Coleman was undoubtedly one of the earliest researchers to study the devil monkey phenomenon. In his book Mystery America, he compared the devil monkey to several cases of mysterious kangaroos reported in the United States. He theorized that the devil monkey might be an undiscovered species of large chimpanzee. In his Cryptid primate guide, he referred to this group as giant apes, suggesting that witnesses who reported seeing kangaroo-like creatures may have actually seen the juveniles of this species. He proposed that this species might have developed hostility toward humans and dogs for survival reasons, and that it was extremely cautious, making sightings very rare. However, this theory is highly speculative, and the hypothesis of a new species still lacks convincing physical evidence. Finally, from my personal perspective, a hidden primate species like the devil monkey could indeed exist. However, I believe the term devil monkey should be considered a general label rather than referring to one specific species. In fact, the term originated from Mark Hall, Loren Coleman, and other cryptozoologists, and it wasn't widely used until the 1982. Therefore, many similar sighting reports revolved around themes like some kind of monkey or kangaroo. Across a wide range of regions, eyewitness descriptions may sound alike, but differ slightly in details. Some cases mentioned white spots on the belly, others described a sulfur-like stench, and some spoke of a cat-like face. These features appeared only in isolated cases, which might suggest that these witnesses were not seeing the same species. If we ignore some of those specific traits and focus on the general shape, I might consider the possibility that it was a large, carnivorous animal, such as a wolverine. The wolverine is a muscular predator with strong fighting ability, capable of killing mammals larger than itself. The largest known individuals reach nearly 3.5 feet in body length, with slender builds, broad rounded heads, and very short ears. However, I don't think a terrified eyewitness could easily distinguish between pointed ears and short ears. Most importantly, this species has a wide distribution across the northern hemisphere. Although extensive logging has reduced its habitat over the years, it remains alert, resilient, and capable of long-distance travel. As a result, its population in North America remains relatively stable. Furthermore, I believe some mutated large cats could also be a possibility. After all, features such as a protruding face, pointed ears, strong hind legs, and climbing ability match characteristics typical of the feline family. This is similar to the appearance of the Lycoi, or werewolf cat. Cases of genetic mutation caused by environmental, human, or other uncontrollable factors, leading to individuals or groups showing unique appearances, are not uncommon. Of course, all of this is just my personal speculation. The true nature of the devil monkey remains unknown. But whether it turns out to be a new species or a misidentification of an existing one, its study still holds theoretical and practical value for ecological conservation and evolutionary biology. Well, in the end, it's the same as always. The unknown is always greater than the known, and that is precisely the charm of UMA. That's all for this episode. Thank you for watching.